as you can see. I'm doing a real quick one here. So 98 Corvette. I'll just kind of go over the car quick first. 98 Corvette. So this is the kind of that earlier version of the LS1 automatic car. And all we did, car came in completely stock. All we did was a thermostat and a Halltech cold air intake. So I took off that air box, that stock air box, with that stock kind of sandwich style mass airflow sensors, I guess what I call it. And we did a Halltech, and that moves into a LS3 blade style, like an LS3, LS7 style MAF with a big cone filter. So that's all we changed, that and the lower temp thermostat. So, and some tuning obviously. So you can see my working runs here. So 311, that's the baseline. That was completely stock. Swapped the intake out in the dyno, and I worked up some air fuel, got the air fuel straightened out, and these are the last two pulls. I kind of did two last pulls back to back. I just filmed the last one. So I will pull, we'll close all those off. You can kind of see how I went through it there. I actually did two, well, yeah. The first pull didn't read. The first two pulls I was having trouble with my pickup. That was my first clean pull. And we'll bring up those last two runs I did back to back. And you can see they pretty much overlay. I mean, the top here of the 1 horsepower is just some noise in the dyno there. You can see they're pretty much a direct overlay of each other. So that's a pretty nice gain for an intake and a tune. 20, 21 horsepower, something like that, on one of these earlier LS1s. So this is an early LS1. It has the older 806 perimeter valve cover, where the valve covers were bolted around the perimeter versus down the middle. So they were an earlier style LS1, had the very first version of those heads, LS1 heads, I should say. So these engines were known to make a smidge less power than the later versions of the LS1, but it still isn't too bad. So really nice car. I like this red. I do believe, I take that back, I do believe he has a Borla catback on it, which in the past we have found doesn't really make any more power over the stock mufflers on one of these cars in particular. So data log, you can kind of see, we'll just go over that really quick. I got to kind of, these cars that make down in those lower 300s, the sweep is kind of long, so we got to kind of scroll to see the whole log, but you get the gist. Air fuel, lambda, I was trying to kind of hold it just above, 0.87 I was trying to target, but I kind of played around with it on some of those runs, and between 0.85, 0.87, it wasn't making any difference. Timing, I actually did find some extra torque on the bottom. From the factory, they had down in this area, down in the 2500 to 3500, they actually were commanding like 29 degrees of timing. It actually made a little bit more torque at 27, so I kind of figured it would down there, so I pulled some of the timing out. It was really rich from the factory. Also, the stock tune was pretty rich. So below, some of the spots it was like below 0.8 lambda, so it was pretty rich. So, and you can see I'm kind of ramping the timing up to the upper 20s. That's these earlier LS1s were, they liked a little bit more timing up on top, especially when there's no other airflow mods and our air masses are kind of low. You can see the air mass is only 0.7. So because we're still on stock exhaust, stock Kelly converters, stock manifolds, stock intake manifold, which was not the best intake manifold back then. These earlier ones weren't the greatest compared to, like, let's say an LS6 or an LS2. So they just didn't flow as well. They didn't make as much power. So there's not as much cylinder pressure, and we can put more timing at them. So yeah, that's looking really good. Got that all dialed in real nice. Got the air fuel where I want it, got the timer where I want it, and where it likes it. So yeah, I'm gonna go get this out on the street, cruising around a little bit, and that'll wrap wrap it up on this one. I just want to make a short little video on basically just what an intake and a tune can do on one of these early LS1s. I don't think I've done a video on one of these with just these specific mods. So, and you can kind of see, I mean, these things peak pretty early with those earlier intakes. You know, I'm taking this thing out to 6,000 RPM, and you can hear it. It's starting to breathe pretty hard up there. You can tell after 5,500 it starts to fall off. So I think the stock shift points are right about 6, so that'll work pretty good. So I probably won't have to mess with the shift points. So anyway, 98 Vette, LS1, intake only, and a little bit of tuning, and there's our gain. So thanks for watching, guys.